Thank you. Welcome to the Williston Development Review Board. Tonight is January 28th, 2025. My name is Pete Kelly. I'm chair of the DRB. Please silence your phones and devices. Zoom attendees may stay muted unless it's your turn to speak. For Zoom technical questions, please contact the planning staff through Zoom chat.
Recording in progress.
Let's begin by taking a roll call of DRB members in attendance tonight. Nate Andrews.
I am here via Zoom.
Hey, Nate. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks.
Lisa is absent. Scott Riley.
Here.
Dave Turner.
Here.
And the chair is present. We do have a quorum. The following items are on the agenda for tonight. We'll start with a public forum, then we'll go into 3 public hearings, DP 25-05, which is Williston Woods, DP 24-09, which is a subdivision, and DP 25-06, which is a boundary line adjustment. We are going to go out of order. We're going to do DP 25-06 first, followed by DP 25-05, and then DP 24-09. The Development Review Board, DRB, follows rules of procedure and conducts quasi-judicial proceedings, aka public hearings like court, pursuant to Williston Unified Development Bylaw, WDB, Chapter 6 in Appendix A. The powers of the DRB are established in and limited by this bylaw, as well as state statute, and expounded upon in the staff reports for each public hearing application. As volunteer public officials, we are held to the standards of the Williston Volunteer Policy and the Williston Conflict of Interest Ordinance. For any public hearing tonight, this is a question for our DRB members. Does any member wish to be excused on account of a conflict of interest? No. Hearing none. Question 2. Does any member wish to report any ex parte contact?
No.
Okay, so a negative to both of those questions. First up tonight is the public forum. This is an opportunity for members here in person or for those participating by Zoom to address the board on items not warned on the public hearing agenda. Okay, hearing none, we'll segue into agenda item number 2. That's the public hearing. Again, we're going to go out of order. So first up is DP 25-06. Is the applicant in attendance? Hi, good evening. Come on up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, hi, I'm Scott Batdorf from 1876 Mountain View Road.
Thanks, Scott, and welcome. Staff goes next.
Thank you, Pete. This is a request for discretionary permit for a boundary line adjustment. Staff's recommendation is that you continue the hearing without testimony and postpone this application to February 11th. The reason is we conducted property research and determined that this cannot be approved as a subdivision or as a boundary line adjustment. It must be a subdivision, which must begin as a pre-application. So the application would be reprocessed as a pre-app. It would have Conservation Commission review on February 5th and come back for a pre-application hearing with you guys on February 11th.
Okay. Scott, is that date acceptable to you?
Yes, that works great.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to continue DP 25-06 to February 11th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is DP 25-05 Williston Woods. Is the applicant here? Are you John?
I'm Eric Licho.
Eric? State your name and address for the record, please.
Eric Licho. The address of the project is Williston Woods Road. My work address is 478 Blair Park Road, Williston.
Great. Welcome. Staff goes next.
Okay. So Williston Woods Cooperative Housing Corporation requests discretionary permit review of stormwater treatment improvements that affect 0.8 acres of site work and common land parcels surrounding 126 Williston Woods Road in the Ag Rural Residential Zone District. Property is currently developed with 112 single household dwellings and a community center. Staff's recommending DRB take testimony and close the hearing, deliberate and approve the project as proposed with recommended findings of fact and conditions of approval. This is the first time the DRB is reviewing the proposed project. Williston Woods started in 1983. It was a planned residential development for 150 dwelling units on a 200-acre parcel. In 1993, two-lot subdivision resulted in a 45-acre lot with 34 dwelling units, which was phase one of the original Williston Woods, conveyed to Williston Woods Homeowners Association. That is not part of this application. And the remaining 155-acre lot with 116 dwelling units retained by Williston Woods Cooperative Housing Corporation is the subject of this application. No advisory boards reviewed this application. Town departments did review the application, but Public Works, Fire, and Police departments did not have comments. And as far as the dimensional standards, the project complies as proposed. There are some areas of the stormwater improvements that are within the setbacks. However, that is allowed. Underground utilities can be required in their setbacks. The project doesn't include any outdoor sales or storage, and no changes to the development pattern are proposed. So, first of all, DRB is reviewing this project tonight because WDB 4.4.1 lists the types of projects that require discretionary permit. It states that clearing, grading, or excavation that disturbs 1/4 acre or more of land, excluding agricultural and forestry practices, requires a discretionary permit. The proposed project will disturb about 0.8 acres, which exceeds the 1/4 acre threshold. Therefore, discretionary permit is required. The project complies with Chapter 29, the runoff and erosion control standards. It is a low-risk development, which is because it is disturbs greater than 1/4 acre, but less than 2 acres, and all land that's disturbed is outside the watershed protection buffers, and all land that will be disturbed has a slope of less than 8%. The applicant's proposing stormwater treatment improvements to bring the site into compliance under the state's 3-acre regulations. This includes construction of underground infiltration chambers and 2 gravel wetlands. There's the gravel wetland treatment pond 1 is located to the northeast of Meadowbend Road. The second gravel wetland stormwater treatment area is located to the northeast of Sugarbush Road. And the infiltration stormwater treatment area is under the existing community building parking lot. And the proposed project disturbs a total of around 0.8 acres. And then the applicant has submitted a runoff and erosion control checklist, which is required for projects of this scale impact. And also WDB 929.9.4 requires a 50-foot buffer around the delineated boundary of any Class 2 wetland. which shall remain vegetated and undisturbed. There are Class 2 wetlands on the property, and they're shown on the site plan. The proposed stormwater improvements are located outside of the required 50-foot buffers and are not anticipated to be impacted or to impact the Class 2 wetlands. And then the proposed project will not add any dwellings or make any changes to access, parking, other on-site infrastructure, landscaping, outdoor lighting, signs, street trees, and isn't anticipated to impact conservation areas or flood hazard areas. And it's not subject to impact fees. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. Eric, have you read the proposed conditions of approval?
Yes.
Any concerns?
No.
Any comments on the staff's report?
Nope.
Okay. DRB members, questions for the applicant? Paul?
I got one question. Who actually says that the job's done right at the end of this whole exercise? I see our town attorney's involved. I see we have some person who is supposedly designated to check it after 1 year notice. But I also see that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the state of Vermont also seem to have their fingers in this. So like I was saying, you know, who's the person who finally comes around and goes, yeah, that job's done? Just out of curiosity. Doesn't
Melinda,
seem to say
you wanna
right
tackle
here.
that one?
So it is under a state permit, so presumably somebody from the state would be inspecting it at the end of construction, and would be confirming that the project was done according to plan and conforms to the state regulations. As far as our regulations go, we will do a inspection at the end, likely do an inspection, and likely the stormwater coordinator would, you know, probably be inspecting it. But the inspection is really to you know, make sure that it conforms to our bylaws and
Okay. I just was kind of curious when I see all these people named and they're not mentioned anywhere else other than that they're kind of semi-certifying it. That's all.
So I can speak to, this was a number of years ago, the stormwater pond renovation work that was done in Southridge. Doug Goulet, who is present here and it's going to be part of the next application. Doug and I were actively involved in that work, and there was a tremendous amount of engagement by the stormwater coordinator from the town of Williston,
Okay.
who did a great job.
Oh, okay, so we have somebody who's gonna,
Well, that was in place at the time. I don't know what the structure is now.
okay.
Okay. Is that position filled right now?
we do have a stormwater
Yeah.
coordinator.
So-
Oh, okay, then cool, that's fine.
Yeah, it was a very positive collaboration.
I just want to make sure that these guys didn't do their work and then suddenly find out that someone comes along and says, oh, that's not what we want. It's like, well, wait a minute, where were you when we had this hearing? That's
So
all.
part of it is the state, a big part of it. Any other questions, Scott? No? Members of the audience, both here in person or participating by Zoom, any questions for the DRB on this application? Any final comments, Eric?
Nope.
Okay, great. We will close DP 25-05 at 7:15. Thank you for coming. Okay, next up is DP 24-09. Welcome. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Anna Benedetto. I'm the owner of 1318 Butternut Road.
And I'm Doug Goulet from Trudell Consulting Engineers, and I live at 240 South Ridge Road in Williston.
Welcome both. Staff goes next.
So this application was heard on November 26, 2024, and continued to January 28th, tonight. This is a request for a discretionary permit to subdivide a 10.76 acre parcel to create 2 new house lots. Consists of 4 lots. Lot 1 would contain the existing dwelling and barn, 1.3 acres. Lot 2, proposed dwelling, 0.83 acres. Lot 3, a proposed new dwelling, 0.83 acres, and Lot 4, which is the green, proposed open space, 8.07 acres. And this is located on Butternut Road in the Agricultural Rural Residential Zoning District. Staff is recommending the DRB hear public testimony, close the hearing tonight, and deliberate and approve the proposed project with recommended findings of fact and conditions of approval. This is the second time the DRB is reviewing the discretionary permit request. This hearing was opened on November 26, 2024, and continued to tonight to allow the applicant to make necessary revisions. So Conservation Commission reviewed, reviewed the project, and their comments are included. Public Works and Fire, their comments have been included. The Fire, the DRB can adopt comments as conditions, but only to the extent that they can be enforced by the statutory authority of zoning. The Fire Department review standards are Select Board policy. Fire Department comments that are not contained in the Williston Development Bylaws cannot be enforced by the DRB. 1 comment letter was received at the time of the mail out. No comment letters were received prior to the November 28th, 2024 meeting, though public testimony was spoken at the hearing. I believe the pre-application recommendations were gone over in the previous hearing, and I think everything either met the expectations or can meet the expectations. So as far as dimensional standards, the building height will be assessed at the time when an administrative permit is issued. It complies with setbacks, complies with setbacks from roads. The lot dimensions comply as proposed and meet the frontage requirements. The site plans have been revised to designate a 50-foot shared access easement centered on a 14-foot shared access drive from Butternut Road to lots 2 and 3. The site plan shows a 40-foot access easement over lot 4 to lot 1. As far as open space, which is really kind of the meat of this discussion, at the November 26th hearing, the DRB requested the applicant revise the site plan to show the open space as 1 parcel and the proposed building lots to be clustered closer together to reduce the fragmentation of open space. The project complies as proposed. So there's a requirement for 75% of the parcel to be set aside as permanently protected open space. And there's also a requirement that that open space be platted as a separate lot. The applicant has done that. Previously proposed a design that created 3 building lots and separated the open space into 3 parcels, 1 for each building lot, but the revised site plan now shows a single open space lot. As far as the configuration and contiguity of open space, project complies as proposed. The previous subdivision layout did not meet the configuration and contiguity requirements of WDB 31.7. The site plans revisions show building lot 3 is reconfigured to be rectangular and close to Butternut Road, and now abutting building lot 2. And the long driveway that was to serve building lot 3 was shortened based on the new lot configuration. The proposed open space will contain an existing horse arena per WDB 31751. Protected open space may be used for agriculture. The horse arena qualifies as an agricultural use according to the Vermont Agency of Agriculture's definition of farming, including the raising, feeding, or management of 4 or more equines owned or boarded by the farmer, including training, showing, and providing instruction and lessons in riding, training, and the management of equines. The proposed open space will contain the wastewater mound systems serving the building lots per WDB 31.7.5.4. Any component of an individual or community sewage system that is entirely underground may be placed in protected open space. Project complies with housing design and open space developments. The 75% open space requirement has been met, and house lots take up 25% of the parent parcel. And most of the other standards of 31.8 and the other standards are not applicable, as those are intended for large subdivision clustering of several lots. And then compliance is anticipated with respect to subdivisions and final plans. Open space must be platted separately and monumented in accordance with the requirements of 12.4.1.5 with the same degree of accuracy as a building lot. And final plan submission must include a plat with survey monuments for the house lots and the open space lot. For affordable homes and growth management, the project is exempt because it proposes fewer than 4 new dwellings, and they are able to proceed from pre-application review to discretionary permit without growth management review. For access, compliance is anticipated. Since pre-application, the applicants reduced the number of access points onto Butternut Road. The new homes will be served by shared access drive onto Butternut Road. The applicant and Public Works Department have been discussing the driveway and culvert designs, and final plans shall address the comments of the DPW department and the requirements of Public Works standard specifications. The site plans have been revised to designate a 50-foot shared access easement centered on 14-foot wide shared access drive from Butternut Road to lots 2 and 3. And site plan also shows a 40-foot access easement over lot 4 to lot 1. And the other standards of Chapter 13 apply to driveways that serve more than one dwelling and thus are not applicable after the shared driveway splits. Let's see, so the utilities are all shown underground. That complies as proposed. On-site sewage disposal complies as proposed. Wastewater mound systems are located in open space, which is allowed. For on-site water, final plans shall include a state water and wastewater permit to demonstrate compliance with WDB 1510 and pre-application recommendation number 2E. So there is an existing drilled well serving the property with a reported yield of 30 GPM. The applicant requests that the existing well act as evidence to satisfy the requirements of section 1510. And then the statement on sheet C201 should be eliminated from the plans, and the statement, the proposed well locations have been selected only on the basis of wastewater isolation distances. No hydrogeologic information was gathered or analyzed to establish that this location will supply potable water of sufficient quality and quantity. And then per section of WDB 1510, the applicant must demonstrate there's groundwater sufficient to support the development. This must be done by conducting on-site well tests under the supervision of a registered engineer. Groundwater hydrologist well tests shall be conducted in accord with current requirements of the Vermont Water Supply Rule for long-term yield testing. Density complies as proposed. The applicants provided a density analysis. 3 homes were proposed where up to 4 homes can be allowed. And for landscaping, compliance is anticipated. Condition number 21 was modified to clarify the type and size of plantings in the front yard buffer in response to the November 28th discussion. For the north, east, and south boundaries of the parent parcel, the 50-foot existing vegetation buffer is maintained per WDB 23. At final plans, the statement, "No tree cutting along frontage of lot 2/2A and 3/ of lot 2 and 3, unless dying, diseased, or invasive species, or where needed for driveway construction and maintaining site distances shall be revised to add, and any removed vegetation shall be replanted with a species that will obtain comparable mature size in order to maintain effective screening, but not invisible, per WDB 31.9.6. For street trees, project complies as proposed. It's not applicable. At pre-application, the street tree requirement was waived per WDB 26.1.2.1. Because existing woods, the DRB may waive this chapter's requirement for street trees where a road passes through existing woods, and for open space developments in which formal plantings are not appropriate. And then, so for significant wildlife habitat area, there is some on the parcel, but no development is proposed within the core habitat and wildlife travel corridor that's mapped on the northeast corner. The scenic view shed complies. Neither the DRB nor the WCC recommended any mitigation for possible view shed impacts at pre-application. The subject parcel is within an area mapped as secondary foreground view shed in a visual assessment official map. The viewpoint is at the Butternut Road Route 2A intersection over a mile away. So the other elements of conservation areas are not applicable, including uncommon, rare, threatened, and endangered species, natural communities, farmlands of local importance, and scenic viewshed. Watershed health complies as proposed. The applicants provided a professionally prepared erosion and prevention and sediment control plan. The proposal disturbs more than 2 acres and is therefore high risk. It complies with wetlands protection and watershed protection buffers. WCC condition number 3A, permitting signage on 100-foot intervals to delineate the buffer per WDB 29.9.7, and no developments proposed within class 2 or 3 wetlands, which are limited to the property perimeter edges. Recreation and park impact fees and transportation impact fees are assessed with the administrative permit. In FY 2025, these fees are just below $4,000. And as of November 18th, 2024, the school impact fee has been retired. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Melinda. Doug and Anna, so if you could provide any commentary to staff report and also specifically address if you have any concern with the proposed conditions of approval.
I think whoever's driving, if they can go to page 4, that shows the plan that we looked at last time you were here, and now the current plan would be helpful.
Oh, you mean in the staff report?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. So working backwards, we've reviewed the proposed conditions of approval and find them to be acceptable. So through the last round of meetings between you folks and the Williston Conservation Commission. We were looking at the left-hand plan that showed 3 individual lots in pink, and then they each had their own designated open space sublots, if you will. So we presented that to the Conservation Commission, and they weren't too excited about that, and I believe you folks echoed that. So we went back based on the recommendations of the Conservation Commission and you folks, and reworked the lot configuration to what currently is on the table is the right-hand design. Lot 1 to the north is slightly smaller, a little more regular in shape. Excuse me, lot 2 and 3 are, again, more rectangular, a little larger, and are, as Melinda said, are now joined together and clustered in the southwest corner of the property. And these were basically discussions we had with the Conservation Committee. They were worried that the left-hand design was, that the open space in green was fragmented and not meeting the definition of contiguous. So upon redesigning the lots, they were happy to see the new design and concluded that, in fact, we had met their goals, that the open space is now larger and more contiguous, and the fragmentation no longer exists, and it's one lot as opposed to 3 sublots. So that's what we're here to present tonight. I don't really have anything more to add to Melinda's overview at this point, but certainly we can answer questions.
Great. Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
DRB members, questions for the applicant?
The only question I have is on the Lot 2 and Lot 3 wastewater systems. How much of the land will remain intact that's there, or will that all be mowed all the way around that area where the swale is?
There's not really a plan for that. I mean, the mound systems don't have to be mowed. The state would recommend that we don't allow trees and such to grow on them
Right.
for obvious reasons. So I would suspect if Ann continues to have horses in that area.
Don't let horses stand on mounds either.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to fence that off, but I assume the mounds would be brush hogged like once a year.
Okay.
The horses probably take care of the rest of the open meadow up there.
Anything else, Dave?
Nope, that's it.
Paul?
Your access it's already there, right? The road?
There's an existing access to
Yeah,
the
that's-
lot 1 house.
Yeah, so the proposed access is already there and done, right?
No, there's a new curb cut for the 2
That's,
lots.
oh, that's gonna be in, what?
There's a new shared driveway for lot.
No, I'm talking about for the existing.
Yeah, that's all right.
So that's already in and done. Okay. And then the second one I was gonna ask is, where the combined driveway is that, if I remember right, is that at the top of that little dipsy doodle part of Butternut, or is that in the ditch? No, on the road. Where, its connectivity, what's its visibility on the road is my point.
Site distances are fine.
Okay,
It's I think on a long straight run downhill.
Yeah.
okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Everything else looks great.
Okay, anything else, Paul?
Now, it'd be a nice place for them to ride the horses out on the open land.
Scott, anything?
Just a comment that I appreciate you doing the redesign. It's an improvement over the fragmentation that was there before. So yeah, it's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, public comments. This is an opportunity for people participating here in the room or by Zoom to address the board. Are there anybody want to address the board? Sir, if you would come up to this table over here and state your name and address for the record, please.
You want me here or there?
You can stay at the mic, please.
Okay. I'm Richard Park. I'm a neighbor of this proposal,
And I have submitted a letter, which I hope is in your record.
It is.
And I'll skip all that for your efficiency and just say that at the bottom line, the applicant has relied on a lot of exemptions and interpretations and whatever to make this proposed development not on its face illegal or out of compliance. But I think it relies heavily on a staff model that was presented to solve the problem of where could you put two lots to not violate the 75% open space rule. I don't think it was meant to be to solve how do you keep this property and development in compliance with the character of a agricultural district or a Butternut Road. So I would ask the Developmental Review Board to not put too much weight on staff's technical solution to the problem of where do you put two places if you want to have contiguous 75% conservation area. I'd ask that you ask a higher question, which is, does this net with all its exceptions, exemptions, aggressive use of the land comply in any way with what we envisioned as open space when the Conservation Commission was created? My answer to that is no. There's only two solutions to keeping that property in compliance with the spirit of open spaces. I think most Willistonians understand it, and certainly the people who launched the Conservation Commission, which is either you have one lot and one property, or you have the additional two properties clustered with the existing property. Said another way, if this development was presented to the Conservation Commission when it was formed, they would say this is exactly why we need more regulation and oversight. This is not the way we want the south side of Williston to be developed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any questions?
I don't. Other public comments, either from people present here in the room or by Zoom? Ma'am?
I'm Ann Park, also a neighbor of Anna's. I guess my one thought is that those two lots, excuse me, where they are, is basically row housing. And the character of Butternut Road is not supportive of row housing.
Okay, thank you. Any other members present want to address the board?
Sure. Pete, this is Nate Andrews. I have a question for staff or for the applicant. We heard that the Conservation Commission preferred this newer design over the original. Did the Conservation Committee also give feedback about any other designs that would be preferred over what we are talking about now, over what is being proposed?
Can you answer?
Yep.
No, they didn't.
Is it the role of the Conservation Commission to redesign a project?
No.
Thank you.
Is it the role of staff to redesign a project? Because I think that's what we heard from the public, the concern there.
I'd like Emily to address that question, if you would, please.
Thanks, Nate. No, it's not the role of staff to design a project. However, sometimes when we're trying to explain to applicants how our complex bylaw works, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So there's many different ways a development can achieve compliance with the bylaw. Ultimately, it's up to the applicant to choose what they move forward with. This is an application where, trying to explain the open space and contiguity standards, we provided an illustration to show the bylaw's intent.
Nate, did that satisfy your question, or do you have some follow-up?
I mean, it does. I mean, I think my only other question would be for the applicant is, do you have any other, and obviously not in front of us tonight, but was there consideration for, as some of the public suggested, what I would call a single lot, a lot that was contiguous, 1, 2, and 3 dwellings, and a completely contiguous open space around that lot?
We took that into consideration, but at the end, we felt that the current design is what we want to present. You know, there are other variables. Marketability is one of them, not just open space configuration. So we worked with staff. Basically, you know, we want to present something that staff's happy with because they're most familiar with their own regulations. And that's how we arrived at this layout.
I can add something.
Sure.
The idea was to basically conserve the integrity of the original property, as well as concerns of people worried about driveway length, etc. I mean, that's the real gist of it.
Nate, any follow-up questions?
Could you go into a little more detail on that, please? How it preserves it? It could be helpful, for sure.
I mean, it was originally horse pasture, and it's still kind of preserving the first lot and that open space together as horse pasture, because you can't exactly pasture horses around other homes unless, you know, there's what am I thinking of the term where it's multiple neighbors over the open space property? I'm blanking out at the moment.
No, I think in general, if we wanted to maintain, you know, this area for horses, as Ann does now, the further away from the road, the better, is basically what we're trying to say. So that's how we arrived at this. It seemed to be the best layout for how it's being used now and how it could continue to be used in the future.
Okay, thank you. That's all. That's helpful, everyone. Thanks.
Amount of options.
That's all you
get.
Mr. Park, please come back to the mic.
I'm concerned about a misunderstanding or disconnect here. I understand that the staff committed a solution to the 75% open space, and I think they did that, but I don't think anyone asked them to submit a footprint for 3 houses that could comply with open space and be more in the character of the zone that we're in and the Butternut Rd. I could be wrong on that, and I'm not sure it's their scope to do that, but I just want to make sure people aren't thinking that staff is thinking this is a great outcome for the character of that open space zone and for Butternut Rd. And you might ask them that, but I'm quite sure that wasn't their intent. They solved the open space problem. I don't know that they addressed, and I know they didn't solve the character problem.
Thank you.
Did you provide any input when a house that's right on the corner of Butternut put in that god-awful garage of theirs down by the road?
Butternut at 2A or Butternut at Oak Hill?
2A.
No.
Okay.
Any other public comments? Emily?
I would like to follow up to my comment about preparing a drawing. I would like to note that the original pre-app concept that the applicant submitted showed 2 lots on this southeastern quadrant. So it was a sketch based on the original proposal.
Got it.
Yep.
This one.
Thank you.
This one?
No, if you remember, at pre-app, this was a 3-lot conventional and not an open space development because we thought we were below the 10.5
Yeah, but
acre.
after we changed, was this your next design?
No, that was not.
Yep.
That was a staff sketch as
Yep.
as one potential option. But Emily's right, the original pre-app sketch plan had 2 lots in the southwest corner, as they are now.
Yeah.
But they were larger because they were conventional lots.
Yep,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I think before we close out, I'd just like to ask staff if they know of, it's not anywhere in the staff report, of any exemptions, exceptions, or any other criteria that this project doesn't meet, as is been suggested here.
Melinda?
In other words, is this project fully complying with the regulations as far as you know?
Yeah.
Thank you. Feel like an attorney. That question.
Okay, last call for public comment. Any raised hands? No? Any further comments from the public?
Mr. Park, anything else?
No, I'm just hope you take the high road and do what's right for Williston and what we intend Williston to be.
Doug and Anna, any final words?
Nope, I'm good.
DRP members? Last questions? No? Nate, you good?
I am. Thanks for checking.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, it is 7:49. We're going to close DP 24-09. Thank you both for coming.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, the DRB is now going to go into deliberative session.
Recording in progress.
All right, welcome back to the Williston Development Review Board of January 28th, 2025. It's 8 o'clock. The DRB is out of deliberative session. Is there a motion for DP 25-05?
Yes, as authorized by WDB 6.6.3, I, Scott Riley, move that the Williston Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and all accompanying materials, including the recommendations of the town staff and the advisory boards required to comment on this application by the Williston Development Bylaw, and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of January 28th, 2025, accept the findings of fact and conclusions of law for DP 25-05, and approve this discretionary permit subject to the conditions of approval above. This approval authorizes the applicant to file final plans, obtain approval of these plans from staff, and then seek an administrative permit for the proposed development, which must proceed in strict conformance with the plans on which this approval is based.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
Yay.
Paul seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, yay or nay? Nate?
Yay.
Paul?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Dave?
Yay.
Chair is a yay. 5 in favor, none opposed. Motion carries. Is there a motion for DP 24-09?
Yes. As authorized by WDB 6.6.3, I, David Turner, move the Williston Development Review Board, having reviewed the application submitted and all accompanying materials, including the recommendations of the town staff and advisory boards required to comment on this application by the Williston Development Bylaw, and having heard and duly considered the testimony presented at the public hearing of November 26, 2024, and January 28, 2025, accept the findings of fact and conclusions of law for DP 24-09 and approve this discretionary permit subject to the conditions of the approval above. This approval authorizes the applicant to file final plans, obtain approval for these plans from staff, and then seek administrative permit for the proposed development, which must proceed in strict conformance with the plans on which this approval is based.
Do you have a?
Oh, actually, yes, there's a small typo on findings and fact condition number 2, to be corrected. I should be is.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Scott seconds it. Any discussion? Okay, yay or nay? Nate?
Nay.
Paul?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Dave?
Yay.
The chair is a yay. 4 in favor. Excuse me. 4 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of January 14th?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 14th.
Great, thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dave. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Yay or nay to approve the minutes? Nate?
Yay.
Paul?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Dave?
Yay.
Chair is a yay. 5 in favor, none opposed. Motion carries. The meeting minutes are approved. Is there anything else to bring forth tonight?
Do you want to read into the record DP 2506 continuance?
Yes, that would be a good thing to do. Okay, so for the record, we are going to continue DP 25-06 to February 11th. Anything else?
On the agenda, we had open meeting law, we're gonna postpone that.
Okay,
The main gist of it is in July of last year, some new rules went into effect. The DRB is in compliance because we're hosting online meetings and hosting recordings online. We will be doing some training, just to make sure everybody's up to date on policies and procedures.
and when's that training going to take place?
To be determined sometime in the spring. If it sounds like Aaron's getting bites for new volunteer positions, then we might wait until a new person is appointed, but if it seems like it's gonna be alive, then we'll probably do it, in the late winter, early spring.
Okay. Okay, anything else by anybody?
Were you reusing this one, right?
I don't think so.
The one that was kicked down the road?
No. It's gonna
Or
be
not?
amended.
Okay.
Okay,
It's gonna come
is
back
there a
with
motion?
Different application.
So
Is there-
moved.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Thanks for working with me on Zoom. Sorry about that. It's always a pain.
You're awesome.
Good night, everybody.